like that much depth, sort of all over. But we can't do that today. But it's okay. Yeah, well, at the back, see, I would come right up here. Especially as this, look, you're going to get better range of sands and things from actual aquarium shops, of course you are. But if you want to go for like this is pool filter sand. And it does the job. Like some of you might want to go for something a lot more, the choices and stuff, but if you can't, I'd rather you get into the hobby and have a go with this stuff first, and then maybe once you're doing well, you switch to a more expensive substrate and that sort of thing. But I think this looks really natural and good anyway. So we'll pretend that the sand is covering the whole lot. Won't see it anyway, hopefully, by the time I'm done. And now at this stage, you've got two options. You can either start piling in your rocks first, but because this is like quite bulky, I would rather get this in now and just have a look at it. So I'm going to be doing all this backwards, mind you, because that doesn't look good, but never mind. So I'm rotating it because if I had it upside down like that, yeah, it's just a load of space here that just doesn't look good to my eyes anyway. I mean, it might from the front, I don't know. That way, already it looks miles better, but we might as well make use of a rimless tank as well. So if I want, I can put some rocks underneath, bring it up out the water slightly as well. In an ideal world, I'd probably get another smaller version of this to place here, just so you haven't got too much negative space. But if you want to use a load of stems, you can also use this section to fill out. So just depends what you want to do. But I like that position, I like that area. I've got a ton of pebbles. Pebbles are my favourite thing to use in aquariums because we can all get them, if you know what I'm saying. But for instance, now I'm just going to border. I'm just going to border the whole lot. But not like in a paving way. Like you got to mix it up a little bit. So like that would follow there, but I want to bring it out because otherwise we're going to have a straight line, and that just looks a bit silly, I think. It's also going to give a bit more height. I'm forgetting to be careful. I nearly just smashed the glass, I swear. This is quite difficult because I'm trying to... I can't just come on the front. Let me see. Sorry. Yeah, see what I mean? Look at that. That's just like it's too much of a straight line. Like you don't see that in nature. So if I put this one more back further and then bring this one forward a little, we're breaking up that straight line, and I think that's more natural. If you're seeing patterns, then it's probably not right. Like that's, again, straight line. Don't do that. We come back in further, and then we're breaking up that. Your eyes don't like that if they're viewing nature. Whenever you're in a forest or whatever, you very rarely, unless it's been planted in a specific way, where you see stuff in rows and lines. So to be honest, like anything, my style has changed over the last few years. I used to be all about like the hardscape and all that, and nowadays I'm like, oh, how would the fish interact with this? Because then I can enjoy it for a little bit longer as well, other than just the setup's done. It's more like fish breed. I get quite a lot of fish breeding. There's a video coming out in a few days actually, where I do another full tour of the studio, because quite a lot of people ask, can we have an update? So I've done a full tour just before we left, and I've got like babies breeding from tetra, like not neon tetra, they're, what are they, like silver tip tetras, which there's babies all in the tank. I haven't done anything to the tank, but that's quite nice now. I can breed quite a few fish actually. And then also sizes, let's look at sizes here. So don't get everything matching obviously. So this one here will go really well with these, hopefully. And these do look like dragon eggs. Hello, yep. And I'm deliberately spacing them out because down in this tub here I've got like the detail stones that a lot of you have seen me use. So even though we've got gaps showing, for instance, what I would usually do is just take more of this and just fill it in like that and just build it all up if I haven't already capped over the whole lot, just to make sure that that doesn't come through. But alternatively, remember, you can buy them online on Asda is the Asda. Don't worry about that. Amazon. Asda's a shop in England. You can buy like zippy bags, and I think they're used for like laundry things. You put like, I don't know, but who knows. So yeah, I would always put that in those, because even if you've got a plant here, for instance, that you're not disturbing the aqua soil with the sand on top of it, when you trim it, sometimes you can, just in doing that, can pull it up. And once you start to get a few going, then if you've got some cories, it just ruins it, doesn't it? Like, you can pick them up with magnets. If you ever get some going your front bit, if you can get like a mechanic magnet, they use them to like pick up screws and stuff that got stuck. You can pick up like all of them with that very quickly. But if we can avoid it coming out, I'd rather just do that. Right. Let me check that from the front. I like it. It's cool. I feel like we should have some more height just in that point there. I can't tell you why I think that. It's just, I don't know what it is now. I've done a good 4 to 500 setups now over the last 4 or 5 years. So I kind of just do things without thinking nowadays, which quite often makes it turn into some of the best, or my best stuff. Now I want to make sure that I'm holding this wood down, because we're fortunate enough that this is all one piece, but quite often I use several pieces. I don't know if you guys have seen. But if I needed to attach this wood to that rock, just tissue paper, paper towel, and then this is liquid super glue, and ram it in a gap, get it covered in the glue. Like, you need quite a bit of it, because if you just pour it on the top, it looks like you put a bit, but it needs to soak right into the paper towel. And then I tend to as well just like push it together a little bit, and you get this little puff of smoke, and you know that the reaction's taking place really well, and that creates like the most solid sort of bond for as long as you actually need. It might not stay together forever if you only use a little bit, that is, but it'll be long enough that this no. Oh, that's quite good. I don't need to, but that is how you would do that. I'll put some more than that though. Something like. It's a bit funny, but I think in this area I'll have plants and things anyway, so it's functional at the moment. But when I come back to it, I'll make sure if it looks bad, I can cover it with plants. A few more stones. This is a good little spot. If we get a good stone in here, this isn't going anywhere. And again, you definitely won't see that, because I've now created pockets as well for different plants to go in. Right, detail stones. The good thing again about round pebbles is that you can always find smaller ones anywhere, and they always look good together. And I quite often find pebbles and river pebbles, they look better when they're not the same colour. It just depends what you want though, it's all personal preference. Now we've got this clean open space here, so I like to make like little extra islands, which you can attach plants to if you want to, or you can just keep them as like little outcrops of stuff. My breathing is annoying me. This is actually really hard to do, like talk to you guys and think about the process, plus what it looks like, especially when you've got all these tanks next to us. But like I say, this is just a quick demo rather than a full-on aquascape, but it should look pretty good actually. I'm quite happy with it so far. So the videos you see, obviously 20-minute, 30-minute video, that actually takes in real time probably about 3 to 4 days. Now that's probably because I'm constantly changing the camera angle and things like that. So when I make a video, I'm editing and directing it in my head as I'm doing it. I can like view the timeline as I'm doing it. I'm like, okay, that's enough of that shot, move to that one, and all that stuff takes so much time. But it can be a benefit because it gives you a lot more time looking at what you've done, and you're like, actually that's not right, or what have you. But the most important thing when you're doing it, and again is why I don't want to do competitions personally, is like just enjoy it. It's supposed to be fun. If it's not fun, then what's the point? Okay, this is my details. So easy to do. And whoever wants to win this, you're gonna have to be very careful transporting it. But it might be easier, to be honest, to take all the scape out. I don't know yet. We'll see how it goes. I'm definitely not going to fill it right up with water. It'll be pointless because you just have to come straight back down again. But we'll get some moisture in there, cover the top hopefully, make sure that the plants stay alive. I went to A to Z Aquatics for the plants. Wasn't it, Chris? A to Z Aquatics for the plants. They've got loads and loads of good ones in there. Paid for them all. I don't mind because it's really good. And I don't mind shouting them out either because they're really nice people there. So that is about, how far is it? About an hour away. What, from here or you? From here. Yeah, they're very good. Very nice people as well. Yeah, does anyone think this gravel goes nicely? Looks like it goes quite nicely. Yeah, that works. You just need more of it. Don't be too careful with this because it's not supposed to be, is it? It's supposed to look like it's been flowing down. Yeah, just chuck. Some elements of the building process take way less time than the others. To be honest, I normally spend the most time on the substrate system because I know how important that's going to be moving forward. If you get that bit right, then your tank will just stay so good for so long. I mean, that's why I'm able to have 50 tanks, is literally because of the substrate systems that I've sort of not developed myself, because it's like a more of an amalgamation of all the other stuff I've seen, but it works well. This stuff goes really nicely actually. Might look a bit different when there's water in there, but we'll run with it. I want another rock here just because it looks like all that's going to shift forwards. This is fiddly. There we go. That should lock all that in. This is quite good actually. I've got loads more gravel. Now ordinary, like I said, I wouldn't cover this with gravel. I'd cap it with sand. Sand locks down the nutrients way better in my experience than gravel, but for the sake of we've got the gravel, I will fill in the background area with that. Hold down the plants a little bit better as well. Sometimes if I'm setting up a tank, I'll find one corner and I'll always put gravel in it because that'll be where I'll fill it up from. When I've got like the filter inlet, I use that as to attach to a hose, so I don't have to stand there holding it or clamp it. I just hook it over. I'll have a nice pile of gravel, say there, and then it can hit that, not destroy the scape. And I know that that's the point I can do it from each time. This stuff isn't bad either actually. See, I'm doing this a little bit backward. I should have capped the soil before, but I wasn't sure about using the gravel. But it's better than nothing, you know? And I'm sure lots of you have got really good tanks with just aquasoil and no CO2 and doing well. Like I said, I'm not going to say this is the only way. We get there. Couple more just to make sure. Oh, not the glass. Yeah, this is really going to help grip the plant as well. So quite a lot of people have said that to me before. How do you pull your tweezers out and the plant just stays there? Well, a lot of that is practice actually. I can show you some methods that I use in a minute. Okay, we secure. That's not going anywhere. Yeah, I think we're good. On to the planting. Let me check the front. Yeah, simple. I would twist it a bit more actually, because that's too far near the front, and that's going to be a pain for cleaning later on. It should hold. I mean, I'm not filling up with water anyway, so, but if it started to float, I'd stop the water. Probably put another stone on here, maybe temporarily, just whilst it's sort of going, or just a little glue spot in there. That would be fine. Right, on to planting. This is fast. So again, I didn't want to go crazy. I could have got a lot more, but it's a good amount of plants, don't get me wrong. It cost me, do you know how much I paid for it? For the plants, that whole group, just so they got some, it was like $150, something like that, wasn't it? 80. Oh yeah, because we had the extra that wasn't for this. Yeah, 140, which sounds like a lot of money, and of course it is, but I always find that the more that you start with, like, I'd rather spend a little bit more and have something that looks great, and then 2 weeks later go, oh, you know. So, I like this section here for stems. I think that'd be a really good spot. I've got to think about the filter. You win a filter, by the way, as well. I've got it down. Let me show you. Because I'm not going to install it, because obviously I'm not putting the water on, but I do need to think about where it can go. This one looks pretty decent.
Please.
I never used it, but there's a filter. So yeah, I would, given the shape, it would make sense to place the outlet up here, especially if we've got stems, because it will give it that movement. You don't want the stems being battered with water flow, because it will make them look a bit funny and they go like scraggly. But I always like to start with epiphyte plants, stuff that obviously sticks on. It's quite common. I mean, they're quite big. You get a lot of bang for your buck, don't you? So once you've got those in, it sort of can determine where the rest goes. And like I said earlier, I want to sort of cover up this section. We could have got a lot more plants, but I was just thinking, well, not everyone's going to be able to, like, want to do that. Everyone's got bills and stuff at the moment, haven't they? So I'm looking for gaps here. You can obviously glue as well. Now I'm quite fortunate because at home I work with a company called Aquafleur, and like one of their pots would be like twice the size of that because they've got massive grow farms and everything. So there's more other companies, there's more competition. So you can get a little bit more. I mean, it is harder for you guys to get big amounts of plants. Like, so I'm just finding gaps because I would like to clump that all together as one and plonk it in. But, you know, I think if I space it out, we're going to get a little bit of a better look. Oh. Nice. I can sort of see from here that I want something coming up here, because that'll be next to the rest of the stem. So more thicker in that section. Now I find if you've got one area of ferns, sometimes it's good to have a smaller area dotted somewhere else. It's like a continuity thing, I think. You don't want to push it into the substrate. I'm pushing it into like some gap here in the wood. No, not the wood, sorry, the rocks. And then I'd like to use another rock to make it sort of stand up. And that locks it in. Just a little bit of, sort of goes together quite nicely. Not often you're going to have just one plant that stays there. We should use the last one. There we go. Little gap there. And the whole thing's falling apart. Now we're good. We're good. Okay, then always Anubias next. Still got a bit of rock wool and that on here, but you've got options. So I always find, not always, but most of the time find that Anubias looks really good below but close to the Java fern. It's almost like it helps it merge in because of the different sizes. You can just break it all off, by the way, as well. So it's the rhizome what it grows from. If you snap it anywhere on there, it will just keep growing. Down there looks good. There'll be stems this side, but pin that under there. Just put it wherever you want, really. Okay, cool. Moving on. This is Rotala HR. I think it's HR, or something very similar to. They've got plant weights on the bottom. Now, when I take trimmings from all my tanks, I actually add these to my own trimmings as well, because if you replant like the odd stem, it's quite often it's just going to sort of float up, because I don't use like massively thick sections at the back. But if you put that on, technically you don't even have to plant it. You can just rest it wherever you want it to be. And what's good about that is it already has the height then. So if I rest that here, if the water's in, I've got instant height. It looks great straight away. I'm very impatient, so I like everything to be done. But if I was to actually plant that, I'm going to plant down to there, which means I'm going to have that in my brand new setup, and I'm going to be like, oh, I want it to look good straight away. So I would literally just take that, and it would just rest on the surface, and that will stand up nicely there. It's already closer to the top of the light then as well, which means it's going to start growing straight away, like really not fast because we've not got CO2, but not slow either. So I would put all of this red in this corner. They're clumped together at the top, but they wouldn't be if the water was in it. We will fill it up a little bit, I think. There we go, sort of planted. And then I've got rotundifolia. Well, so that's all that growth on the top you can see there is out of water growth, and the underneath is, oh, that's underwater. So it's obviously been sticking out of like a plant vat somewhere. Broke that. Never mind. So we want some stems in this section as well, so I'll put some there. Okay, big leaf staff, bang for your buck. If you want proper greenness everywhere, Echinodoris is the one to go for. Very, very easy to look after for. They don't require huge amounts of light either. This is more than powerful enough to grow this plant, and this isn't one of the silly Chihiros or like the top end ones. Oh, I've got tweezers as well. So with this plant, I would probably break that off. To be honest, I'd break that off. The outer leaves of the rosette. Rest of them, that's underwater growth for sure. So this plant's probably been sat there for a little bit, so I think that's probably why I picked it, to be honest. Looks quite good. You can either snap off the roots or you don't have to, but I like to do that. So they're still intact, and surely more roots is better, right? Coming down, I'm going to pick this area at the back here. It needs a good amount of space because it will get huge. It's Echinodoris, something like that. Blari, something like that. And if you want the most bang for your buck, just go and buy a tank full of Echinodoris and then add other stuff as you go along, because like that's massive and it's probably the same price as the little stems. So crypts are easy, very easy. You can stick them darker areas. Sometimes it's easier just to use your fingers. Just poke right in, cover up. And I always like to intertwine it as well in the wood. It's just more natural. Break it up. Oh, I like this area in here. If I can get in anyway. Definitely need something. Got it. Kind of. I do need the tweezers. Just trying to fill out areas where I can see, like, it just needs something, you know. Some other people might think, oh, don't put anything in that area, but you know me, more is more. Just makes everything so much easier. Oh, there we go. Look, we got. Remember this one. Lovely lotus here, tiger lotus. I'm not sure what variety it is, but it's nice. And the good thing about this is you don't need to plant it. Somewhere I need to look from the front actually for this, because this will get big. This will be like a awesome looking flower. So we've got a few options. I would probably either go here, or I would go somewhere in the middle. But if it's here, what it means is I can just keep an eye on it, and as it, sorry, I'm in the way for some of you, but as it grows, it will send off like extra shoots as well. So then you can just plant them everywhere else as well, which is good. The bulb sort of generates new bulbs. I'm not quite sure how that works, but okay, we've got some Vallisneria. I think this is Spiralis. Looks kind of spirally. So I always use this plant in the background. I've got a new video coming out in a few days for Chunks' tank. So he did have a massive tree in his tank, but he's way too big now. He needs some swim room, so I've just done something quite naturalistic with a ton of Echinodoros, because obviously South American fish, just thought that would be quite nice. But in that tank as well, I used Vallisneria right at the back. Creates like a really nice curtain effect. This will grow so much, so fast. It will send out runners, be forever taking them and trying to keep them in the right area. I'm not even using the tweezers, am I? But it's okay. Just dot them about. I don't ever sort of overthink the planting too much, because the tank does what it wants anyway. And I just think that's more natural to let it do what it wants rather than trying to control it constantly. Plus I've got like 50 tanks to look after, so that would be a nightmare. Okay, right, so detail. Now I deliberately, they had some, in the shop there's some amazing like dwarf baby tears and Monte Carlo and all that stuff. Well, I don't know the level of the person that's gonna win this. So I went for stuff, just smaller crypts. This is Crypt Parva, tiny little thing. It looks so cute as well. Great for detail because you don't need a huge amount of it. But I found that if you just, like this outcrop here, whoops. I haven't taken off all the rock wool, but it'll take too long. This outcrop is perfect for just a little bit of it. And you don't need a lot of it either. Just a little bit. It looks like this sort of little spot, doesn't it, where that might actually happen. That will not stay there if it's filled up with water. But if I wanted it to, I'd push it in, then cover it over with more gravel, because it's only a thin layer there. Now there isn't nutrients under this, but the roots will find that back section. There might be actually a little bit under that section, but little gaps between the rocks, that's what we want, look. Just adds way more detail. And so on and so on. Just like pushing it back up against the corners. Because as much as you probably want to, if I just go and stick this there, just looks a bit silly, I think. Right, how are we doing? It's not bad really for just chucking something together with zero plan at all. I don't like that big gap there, so I'm going to keep that whole plant together. Now I would probably add, sorry I'm in the way, I would probably add another one of what I've just done there next to it as well, just to again fill out that area. Some of you might be way more patient than me and be happy just to let stuff grow in, but yeah. I'm not very good at that, but yeah, I've got some more rotundifolia. I'm not gonna put it in because it hasn't got the weight on or anything. But yeah, what else to think about? Root tabs. I would put root tabs in like now. Now that I know. Whoa, why has this got mega loud? Now that I know where my planting areas are, I would literally get the root. You guys all know how many root tabs I use. And every single area in this back section I would now place in. Probably would have done it earlier as well, but Wasn't sure about the planting, but yeah, why would I add root tabs if we've got aqua all the other stuff? It just literally covers everything, covers all the bases, especially with this Amazon sword. The big roots on it, it's going to just suck up nutrients so fast. So yeah, things like root tabs just ensure that you've got everything you need. Not really a lot else to carry on. Anyone got questions and things like about anything? What was the crypt? The little this one, Parva. Yeah, it's very easy to grow as well. It's the same as any other crypt. Doesn't need CO2 or anything like that. Can be put in the shade. Yeah, it takes a long time to sort of grow and spread, but you know, it still looks brilliant even when it's as it is. Oh. Any more questions, anyone? Yeah. Pink one. It's a tiger lotus, maybe. Yeah, it's just, I'm not sure on the variety, because sometimes you can, I've ordered tiger lotuses several times before. They turn up, it's the same name, and one's red and one's green. So, I don't really know. Maybe it's like a plant genetics thing. Someone else? Yeah? Do I use botanicals and that? Sometimes, certain tanks, but not to the point where they're massively dark watered. I have done it in the past quite a few times. My wife now sort of works with me quite a lot more, and she just walks in and says that's dirty, and I just get fed up with saying no, the fish actually like that, and I'm like, yeah, we won't do that. I have quite a lot of people, family-wise and stuff, come to my studio quite a bit. Again, if you're not a fish person and you see botanicals in a tank, you're just like, that tank is dirty. Awful fish keeper. Look at it, even though it's like really good water for specific certain fish, you know. But yeah. Any more?
Has your son designed any more shirts?
He has. Has my son designed any more shirts? So one day I came home and my son Henry had just started drawing animals, and there was the frog one that's just stood out to me because it looked like abstract art, but obviously he didn't know that, and I was like, I've got to have it. I didn't know if everyone else would like it, but I was like, well, I want it, so I'll just make it as a t-shirt. And he loves it. He's got his own. I bought him one as well, so he wears it.
And Timmy.
Nice.
Timmy needs
he's drawn Timmy.
Okay.
So I might be doing that as well. So yeah. Any more questions, guys?
Do you see anything available in the US that you're like, oh, I wish I had that in the UK, or vice versa?
Do I see anything available in the US that I wish I had? The problem is, I think in terms of like planted tanks and things like that, Europe is way further ahead. They've been doing it for a lot longer. The companies are more established, which means because they're ahead and there's more people purchasing them, the prices tend to come down because there's more competition. So I think you guys are definitely getting there though. There's been like a massive increase. Hopefully all of us YouTubers and things around have had a good impact on that. Because it's more about knowing that it's possible, really, isn't it? Rather than like these hobbies don't come out of nowhere. You've got to see them, haven't you? But I'm trying to think. I don't think there's anything in particular because everyone's doing sort of everything. There's not like much new sort of things that come out. Most of it's the same. Especially for me, I'm quite like traditional when I'm doing my tanks. I don't like to use like stuff that's quite like I don't like boats. I've done it. Back in the day, I was like really trying with the algorithm to hit certain things. I started doing a few tanks that I didn't really like myself, but more for other people. Quite quickly after that, I stopped doing that because I didn't enjoy it. I didn't look after it. So nowadays, I only ever do anything that I want to do and that I enjoy. It's the only way to continue, you know. If you're trying to do stuff to please other people, you're going to burn yourself out. You're not enjoying it. The tanks will look like rubbish because you're not looking after them. And for that reason as well, I don't keep monster fish and stuff like that, which I know will do well in the YouTube algorithm. But I'm not going to care for it well because I'm not that into it, you know. I like to see them, like when other people have got them. But imagine a stingray tank done by me. I put all these amazing plants in it, and like day one come back, everything's floating, or there's a big chubby stingray because it's eating everything. So, but yeah. Any more questions, anyone? Yep.
Have you seen bed results of your body pump? pretty opposite.
Have I seen bad results with the aquatic compost or better? Which one's better? So it depends on the situation, I think. Like, if I was running CO2 and things like that, does this sound okay? I'm a bit like funny, aren't I? If I was running, that's too much. If I was running CO2, I don't think there's anything wrong with just chucking in the aquasoil on its own. It's everything that's kind of needed there. I still put in root tabs always, then I always have done, so it's always been a good result. The compost, for me, it's a cheaper option, you know. At the end of the day, this stuff is expensive, and who wants to go and spend all that money when they're just trying it out? You know, if you're just trying out this and trying to see if you like it, or what, you've got to spend like 50 quid on a bag of soil, $50 or whatever. It's just like, it's going to put you off. So I try to give the option of, try this one first, you will get results. But a lot of this hobby is true though, the more you spend, you tend to get even better results. Like, I wish that wasn't the case, but that is the case. CO2 and like really nice, more expensive lighting is expensive for a reason. You can still get all the beautiful results without it. It's just you have to have a little bit of a lower expectation. Can you hear me? Look at this. But when you've spent the money, say on the CO2, on all of the expensive lighting, it really does show in the tanks. I don't know if you guys have ever been to like Aquarium Design Group and places like that, or anywhere that does like the high-end stuff. Like you walk in and you're like, oh, like the first time I did it, I was like, this is like another level. Well, of course it is. The tank's like 10 grand of everything in. Exaggeration, but
This is going.
it's going. It's clipped on. Yeah, I sprayed these down a little bit. Yeah, you do definitely get what you pay for. So that's why I'm not not one of those people that's like, screw the companies, you know, it's all about like doing it dirt cheap. No, do that to start with, get it going, because if you do upgrade, it does show massive, especially with like red plants, for instance. A good LED that's like got more power will just bring out the reds. I don't know what it is, it's like the red plant loves the higher power. You don't even need CO2 to get deep reds either. A lot of people think reds is down to CO2. It's not. I've got lots of tanks without any CO2. I've only got one tank with CO2 actually. And I've got reds just glowing in there because they're close to a powerful light. I use the Superfish lights, which it's annoying for you guys that you can't have that here, because the reason I am with them is because I really appreciate how they are as a company. I met the CEO, sat down with him. He said we don't really make a lot of profit off of the actual kits. It's more about getting people into the hobby, so they buy plants and things like that. I'm like, oh, that's good, because he could charge a lot more than they do for those kits. So that's why I like working with them. But I am trying to convince them that we need to sort of come over here and give it as an option. So yeah, especially some of the smaller ones, because then again it's a start for someone to have a go and do really well. But yeah, any more questions, guys? Yeah, any questions? Ooh. Oh yeah, sorority, like a sorority tank for females. Yeah. So I had to break that down at some point. I did a second one, but at that point I halved the number and I took a load back to the shop because the new tank was much smaller. And then eventually I cleared up that whole section, and I had to move. I've still got loads of them, but they're on my back fish wall, and I'm going to do something else for them. But again, I halved them again and took half back because I went down to a smaller tank that I was keeping them in. So, but they were fine. They were good. There was obviously a couple of deaths. There were some weak ones that didn't do well, didn't like change, maybe something like that. But the majority of them were absolutely fine. I wouldn't say fighting, but certain areas had like colonies of ones that got along. So the tank was, because the tank was so big, some of the fish had this area that were fine with, and then there was a territory of about 10 there. There was a territory of like 5 or 6 there. But it was so heavily planted and breaking lines of sight everywhere that it kind of worked. I wouldn't do it another way without all those plants. And I wouldn't have that many again because, you know, I'm a YouTuber at the end of the day, but like it was too many, I think. because not for their own health. It's just why it's not actually necessary. But you know, you live and learn. But it worked. It did work for sure. Like, and had Matt with me at the time doing that, and he said he was the one who said go for it, it'll be fine. And if someone like that says that, then you're fine to have a go. So, any more questions? Yep. Am I ever going to get fancy goldfish or discus again? 100% no to fancy goldfish, because like I even seen people in the US when I visited that are like pros with fancy goldfish, and whilst I was there, even they lost 2 of their fancy goldfish, and they couldn't see why. They also had vets come in and everything like that, and routinely give them medicines, and I was just like, I don't want to, you know, I'm running a channel at the end of the day. If stuff can just randomly die and I don't know why, or everything else is perfect, it doesn't look good, does it? Like, and there's always people that will jump on and say it's because of you, it's because of you. So I'd just rather stay away from that whole thing. And some of them do look grotesque, let's be honest. Like, they do. Like, that shouldn't be a thing. But I I do like goldfish. But they're less fancy. I think they're like shabunkins and more sort of natural shaped. Anything when you start going squat, apparently, is like not how it's supposed to be, which is why they run into more problems we can't even see visually until it's too late. So yeah, it's just not something I want to go into. I think a lot of other YouTubers have said the same actually. But in terms of discus, I would like to do discus again actually. The reason I took them back to the shop ages ago was because I came in one day and one was just on the bottom, the healthiest one of the lot, and dead, and I was like, well, what's going on? Like, so I tested the water straight away, everything was fine, the rest of the fish were fine, and again I was like, then every day afterwards I was walking in and going, are they okay? And then I lost another one and I was like, okay, that's enough now, like I'm not enjoying this. And I knew that a girl at the shop that I went to regularly had a massive tank, and she was like, I'll take them. I was like, well, I know they're going somewhere good. She's still got them now actually. No, one of them just died of old age apparently, but yeah, they breed and everything. So, and I was just like, it was just spoiling going into the studio for me. So I was like, I don't want to risk that. But they are great, and if I did it again, I would do. Oh, maybe that's the next fish for the 8-foot tank full of discus. That'd be quite cool. Any more questions, anyone? Yep. Oh. How would you go about Aquas giving a column tank? Well, I wouldn't pick it, but if someone asked me to do it, I would try and create like a intertwining vine look with the wood. So like stuff that twists, it might be quite hard to get that, but you probably have to build that individually in pieces and just get it to twist. And then I would definitely just use like Anubias and epiphytes. I wouldn't try anything else because I'm guessing it's tall. And that means that the light isn't going to penetrate down the bottom, which means that's where the stems are going to go in, and they just won't do well. Unless it's really powerful, and then the stuff at the top is covered in algae. So I would go with epiphytes and I'd do twisty wood all the way up and try and create like a cool sculpture. But that's just me. I mean, whatever you would want to do is the right answer, whatever you fancy do it. I've never done it because I've never actually seen a tank like that come up to buy, so probably would have done it, boys. Yeah. Any more questions? Nosh. Well then, I guess I better say thank you all for coming and staying and watching, and everyone who's come up so far and said hello. Oh, thank you. Thank you guys. Thanks a lot. And when are we doing the draw, guys? Oh yeah. Does anyone need a ticket to win this? And you need to be able to take it away. It's quite heavy. But bring it home with you by the end of the show. Bring it home with you by the end of the show. Another reason I didn't pile loads of stuff in here as well is because we want to be able to actually lift it. But it's a good bit of kit, to be fair. I don't normally pick like black edging, but that actually, it does frame it really nicely. The black and yeah, thank you everyone. Thank you for coming. Do I need to pull out? Oh, I'm going to do it. Okay, I'm going to do the draw then. Welcome back, everyone.
Can I get a picture?